Policy. Policy is a predetermined action towards achieving organizational goals. Like we mentioned in our previous video lecture, the goals in the organizations are categorized according to their level of importance. For all cadres in the organization, there is an appropriate goal which the personnel in a particular category will focus on. We talked about our mission goal, our strategic goal, our tactical goal, our departmental goals, operational goals. So the policy is aimed at achieving those goals. In some organizations, they call it policy manual. Policy manual. In some, they call it policy document. However, the policy document of organization or manual, it's seen as the constitution of the company, just like we have in the case of a country with constitution. Not forgetting, this is most applicable under a democratic dispensation. Policy. We have the category, major category or types of policy. We have the public policy, and we have the private policy. The public policy is usually differentiated, separated from private policy by the number of people affected by it. So when we are talking about private and public policy, we look at the numbers of people affected by it. Private policy affects a small number of people. When we say a small number of people, it is easy to relate this with an organization, a company, a society, a group of people. Example of where it operates is the family level. Talk about the group, where the head of the family may pass instruction to all members of the family as it were. It could be on eating habits, it could be on any other aspect that could be related to the family front. It also operates at the level of association. We've said this. Association, where an association has a bylaw, only the registrable number or group of people will be affected by such bylaw. Unlike the the public policy. The public policy affects the large, it affects, we've mentioned this, the number of people. The major difference between public and private policy is the number of people affected by the policy. So when we're talking about public, it's public policy affects large number of people. This could be classified under the government. The policy of government affects the generality of the people. It could be a state, it could be at the local government, or it could be the whole country. You can't compare the number of people living in a local government to the number of people working in an organization, a company, either limited or unlimited, be it as it may. The number of people that a public policy affair governs are often in large number, and we have related this, we have been able to align this to the government. That is, instruction passed down to the people by the government must be obeyed by anybody who lives within the jurisdiction of that particular government, non-indigent inclusive. If you say non-indigent inclusive, if you are an individual living in a state, not your state of origin, in a particular country, be it your country of your nationality or not, you are binded by the rules, regulations, the policy of the area, the geographical location. A good distinction of what public and private policy code has been made by the explanation we just gave. So looking at policy statements, because policy itself is predetermined action, but policy statements are more specific, therefore leads management. Now we are limiting ourselves to private, since we have been able to segregate between private and public policy. Now let's bring ourselves to private, and private affects few number of people, unlike the public that affect the large number of people. So policy statements are specific, therefore leads management to take actions. Policies are designed to help organization operation. It is usually in written form, just like the example we gave. Policy documents of a company is always written, made available to employees, accessible to employees, clearly written, unambiguous, coincides for easy understanding of whoever reads it, and it even gives allowance for questions to be asked. If there are some provisions in the policy manual that are not clear, employees could sort for explanation from the HR manager. Sources of policy. What are the sources of policy in organization? We are limiting it to private policy. Best practices in the organization. What are the practices that could be termed as best, that could be termed as equitable, popularly embraced by all, objective, that is not subjective to an individual or a group of people within the organization? So those actions could form part of the policy documents or manual. For example, early resumption by all employees. Example, timely promotion. Employees, it is known when employee passes appraisal after a period of time. Some organizations could be 2 years, some organizations you don't stay on a particular level for more than 2 years, some 3 years, some a year. It depends on the organization, depends on the policy of the organization. If an appraisee is rated, we'll look at the appraisal system when we're talking about performance management of organization. How appraisal could be objectively appraised. What are the parameters for setting your goals to be appraised at the end of the appraisal period? We'll look at that. So we are talking about best practice in the organization could form parts, the sources of the policy in the organization. Another one is the prevailing practices amongst other organizations in the same industry, be it banking industry, petroleum industry, beverage, brewery, PE, and the likes. What are the practices that are appealing, popularly embraced, that you find in one organization, maybe not in the same pattern of execution, implementation, but something similar? You find that common denominator in different organizations, that uniqueness. You can borrow it, since it is you can borrow that and bring that into your organization, guided by the principle of utilitarianism. The majority of people. Once it's acceptable by majority of people, then it is somewhat objective to an extent. It is. So if you are guided by this, utilitarianism, happiness by the largest number of people, you can bring it to your organization. Oh, why not? It is happening for A, B, C, D. You could tweak it a bit, actually. But those practices could be imported into your organization and it becomes your policy. Remember, we said policy statements are more specific. They lead management into taking actions. So what are those actions? What are those specific statements that you could actually bring from different organizations or within your organization to bear in your policy manual? Attitude and philosophy of the board of directors at the top management. The board of directors, they are regarded as the owners of the company. So their actions and their attitude will have impact on the organization itself, because decisions taken at the board level are binding decisions. So if your board is averse to risk taking, then it will flow down the organization, the chain process, be it your operations, it will flow down. But if the attitude of the board is such that they are receptive to risk, they seek risk, it will reflect in the organization, the steps they take, the management actions, the personnel, from the top to the least personnel in the organization. So the disposition of the board of directors is key Actions taken by them, decisions taken by them would form part of your policy statements for the company. Attitude and philosophy of middle management staff. In our organizational goal lecture, we segregated the management levels. We differentiated. So the middle management staff, their philosophy also, because they are the ones closest to the foot soldiers in the organization. They are the closest. So the way they relate to customers, the way they relate with the junior officers, their attitude, their philosophy could affect their behavioral pattern. And also, if the attitude of this middle management staff are, in most cases, turns out to be positive, it will be part of the policy statement that you find in the policy manual. So what you find in the policy manual are policy statements. Knowledge of personnel handling issues on a daily basis. Those are sources of the policy itself. Traditionally, policy making process, there must be formulation, implementation, feedback, and evaluation. Though this relates more to public policy. So when we're talking about public, we're talking about policy, it is also necessary to talk about policy analysts. Policy analysts. Who are the people that we can classify as policy analysts? Well, anybody who is a graduate of political science, economics, geography, law, philosophy, to a large extent, to an extent also, educationists, those that study education, can be regarded as policy analysts in Nigeria. This is because all the listed fields, the fields listed, see, all the listed listed fields of study are different aspects of policy analysis. They study different aspects of policy analysis in the course of their educational sojourn. If a policy analyst is given the assignment of the analysis of a named policy problem, there are at least 6 stages which must be followed. These 6 stages which are developed must be followed through. The stages are developed by Charles Aladeloye. 1. The first stage. What is the policy formulated? Remember, we talked about policy formulation itself. So what the first question to ask when there is a policy problem is, what is the policy formulated? As an analyst, you must be familiar, or you familiar yourself with the policy problem at stake. That is, you must be able to differentiate it from all forms of policy problems. Examples, we have different policy problems. We have education. Talk about the ongoing ASU strike. ASU strike. We have economy. You have recession. Even political crisis. Now the ongoing case of the CJN, and the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter, and then again, who has been suspended. Political crisis. There might be a problem as a result of that. So the political analyst would come. They look at the problem. They look at the uniqueness of the problem before they move on to the next stage. They must be able to differentiate it from education policy problem, economic policy problem, political public problem. Number 2, how was it determined? How was it determined? Did the policy maker follow the laid down procedure in arriving at the policy? This is important because every policy making process has its standard operating procedure, SOP. Standard operating procedure that must be followed through. Then you look at the third stage. Why was policy X chosen and not policy Y? Why was policy X chosen and not policy Y? Why? Why did he choose this policy instead of the other policy? An analyst must be able to see whether it is adequately considered, whether a policy has been adequately considered, given to the cost benefit analysis. Even in arriving, you must put under the cost benefit analysis. Was it followed? You must be able to, you must be interested in knowing whether or not the amount injected into the program merits it. Also, consideration must or may also be given to social benefit by the analyst, because the issue of cost may be secondary to social benefits in some cases. Number 4, was the policy selected a good one in terms of goal attainment? Every policy usually starts with settling your goal. To get, for example, maybe to get promotion at work, you need to study hard, you need to go for professional courses, you need to hone your skill, your knowledge, your skill on the job, you need to increase your knowledge base, you need to do job shadowing, you need to go for job coaching, you need to, even on the job, at work, you must be able to select a good process. The means justifies, the end. Number 5, if the answer to the question 4, if the answer is yes, if it is yes, why has the policy succeeded? We need to even know if the policy succeeded, if the policy is working over the years. Why is the policy working? We talked about different sources of policies, we talked about best practice organization, we talked about prevailing practices in industries within the organizations within the industries, we talked about the attitude, the philosophy of the board, we talked about it, even made management staff in formulating policies. Those policies that are working, what are the success story, positive ingredients leading to the success? This must be known. It must be known in order for you to get good results between, we're talking about corporate wise, between even the subordinates and the superior. Because most subordinates don't share the same ideology with their superior. Some follow dogmatically. Oh, okay, let's see where it leads. No initiative, they suspend their reasoning. But some just watch, but in their minds, they have a better alternative. So in doing this, you must ask yourself, why has the policy chosen succeeded? This particular policy on education, why is it succeeding? The question must be asked and answered as a policy analyst. Number 6, how can we improve the quality of policy making and implementation process? No policy can be regarded as being totally good, vice versa. If a policy is good, you must aim at making it efficient. You must aim at efficiency of the policy. If not, it gets weakened. Your recommendation should be, as a policy analyst, how the policy can get better results in the future. If you like the lecture appeal, the video lecture appealed to you, if the video lecture appeals to you, kindly like my page and share with your friends, your colleagues, that you believe this video will be of help to, and let's share the knowledge together